This is Christian Book Blurb, brought to you by author and songwriter Matt McChlery. Get a behind-the-scenes glimpse into the lives of some of your favourite Christian authors, hear about their books and faith. Also, why not check out my website, mattmcclery.com. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Christian Book Blurb Show, where we like to encourage you in your discipleship one book at a time as we meet some amazing Christian authors and learn all about their books, their lives, and their faith. Well, thanks for joining me today. I am your host, Matt McChlery, and today I'm going to be chatting with the author Lucy Marfleet all about her book, which is called Telling the Big Story, the Bible in 60 Minutes. So let's start off and welcome Lucy to the show. Hi, Lucy.
Hi, Matt. Thank you so much for having me. And it's a real privilege to be on here. I've been listening to several episodes and I just feel, oh, this is exciting.
It's great to have you with us. Now, your book, well, I say new, it's been out for a little while, but it still sort of feels like your baby, I guess. It's called Telling the Big Story, the Bible in 60 Minutes. So, can you just tell us, is it a manual or a workbook or a practical guide, or is it like a fantasy novel? You know, what is it?
What genre is it? Oh, well, that's really apt, talking about the Bible with all the genres in the Bible. So I've written this book as a resource. It is a sort of practical guide. It's A4 size. It's published by Kevin Mayhew, and it's got loads of pages you can actually photocopy because it's a guide. It's a resource for churches, but other groups as well. You could run it in a school or a care home or a university, and it shows you how this group could put together the whole Bible story as a presentation that you run, and it runs for under an hour. So you can involve loads and loads of people, and they could be all ages, all abilities. It's particularly inclusive. That's one of the real selling points of this particular resource. It involves anybody and everybody. But yeah, it's a practical guide, and it's aimed at the people who would be running the event, with lots of resources within it which can be shared out to those people who will be involved in the event, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's kind of like your best laid plans type thing. But yeah, you're right. There's lots of practical bits, and there's sort of charts and tables. And have you considered to this? And you know, you really ought to plan this, and maybe try and find someone to ask to help you do that. And you know, have you counted the chairs and all that kind of practical stuff, as well as sort of encapsulating the story of the Bible. But before we get into the book a bit more, let's just start with a more general question. Why, in your opinion, is it important or necessary for us to get a sense of the whole story of Scripture? Why can't we just choose the bits we like and ignore the bits we don't?
Oh, we've all got favourite bits, haven't we? I love the Lord is my shepherd, Psalm 23. Do you know what? I've been reading the Bible since I can remember learning to read. That's well over 40 years. I've been getting stuck in, and I've read it I don't know how many times now, Matt. I just keep reading it, and I am obsessed with it. And that's probably why God put this on my heart, because I am a Bible teacher. I've been teaching in the past in different ways, and including for Spurgeon's College, and I teach the Bible because I'm obsessed with it. No matter how much you read, no matter how much you get into it and learn the languages and find connections, you are still learning. It's a love letter from God, and it includes so much for us that's relevant for us, even though it was written thousands of years ago. So when you become a Christian, whether or not you know the Bible, you may well know a few little bits. You know who Jesus is, you know a little bit about, there was this country called Israel, something to do with that, and God's story. You might know about Noah's Ark, you might know about Adam and Eve, but the more you piece together these various different jigsaw pieces, you see that there is a structure that goes across the entire Bible. And without that structure, you're missing out on something quite exciting and quite important about what God's message is to us as people. And so we do this structure across this event that we run, this Bible in 60 Minutes event, and we look at it a bit like a narrative arc. I don't know if you know, in drama, they've got tragedies and comedies. You might have heard this. And in a tragedy, the tragedy arc is a bit like an unhappy face, she says, describing with her hand shaped like a rainbow, like Romeo and Juliet. You know, it starts sad, it gets better, but then it ends sad. That's a tragedy arc. But the Bible is the opposite of that. The Bible has what we would call a comedy arc. It starts really good. God creates good things, and he blesses it, and he's really excited about it, and it ends really good. And we're still in the bit in the middle, And that's why so much in our lives feels so broken and rotten. And God has his rescue plan that gets us out of that. So seeing the big picture really matters. And then you get excited about what's in it. And you think, well, you know, I'm an emotional person. I want to read the stuff that's emotional and go into the poetry and the wisdom literature. Or I'm a very, you know, academic person. I want to look at the genealogies and the narrative literature. And there's something in there for everybody. But I think anyone who's serious about their faith needs to have a good idea of how the big story all holds together. That's a long answer. I'm sorry. But it gives you a flavour.
It's great. Long answers are preferred on podcasts.
Good.
Oh, I might have to say that bit again. No, that's great. I love long answers on my show. It's because I do a bit for radio as well, and I'm not allowed to say podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I'll edit all that. That's okay. So that's wonderful. So let's look at the book in a bit more depth then. So how did it come to be written? I mean, did you wake up one morning and think, hey, I know I'm going to create this detailed resource that people can run this event? You know, how did it happen? How did it come to be?
You know what, Matt? I did not want to write this book. I had other projects on the go, and I was very excited about my other projects. And every once in a while, God niggles you, and you get this niggle and this thought that will not go away. And this niggle was along the lines of, you know what, Lucy, you're obsessed with the Bible. You're at a church. Some of the people here are really academic. Some of them are very young. There's everything in between. There's people who don't know their Bibles as well as they want to. Why don't you create an event where they could do the whole Bible all together in one evening? And this thought would not go away. I talk about this in the book, actually. And so I came up with some scripts, and I thought, well, we got to share the load. So 20 scripts to cover the entire spread of the Bible. And I thought about it, and I thought, actually, it would be a good idea to involve all ages. So some of these scripts had to be a bit easier to read. And that's been something that's developed in the book itself. We've actually got 2 of each script. So one of them, a regular sort of 3-minute script for anyone who might normally read a Bible reading in church or say a prayer. They're happy to go up at the front. And then another script, which is a little bit easier. So the language is easier and the sentences are shorter and there's no difficult tenses. And it's called Easy Read, this particular way of writing. And that's the idea is if people are younger or their reading isn't as strong or perhaps English isn't their first language and they prefer an easier script, they can be involved too. And it's mix and match. So you can do some of the easy ones, some of the more regular ones. In fact, we've actually got extra resources online. We decided that we'd have a website to go alongside it, and we've got a dyslexia-friendly script. We've got a scripting widget, got sort of high visibility, large print, all sorts of ways in which you can involve more and more people. And advice in the book on how you would involve people who are housebound even. There's all sorts of ways you can do it. So the book came to be written because we put on this event, and we did it, weirdly, it was a January evening, a Sunday evening in January, and it was tipping it down with rain. And we don't have evening services at our church, but we'd promoted this for a while, and we'd involve people from as many families as possible. And it worked. We filled the church that evening, and it was so exciting because the young people had been putting together displays. So we had a timeline across the Bible and all the way up to now. We had the display of the different books of the Bible. It was set up a bit like a periodic table. People brought food. People brought different books, different Bible versions, and souvenirs from when they'd been to Israel, all sorts of exciting things. And we had cake. Oh, you've always got to have food, haven't you, at events? It brings lots of people. So we had a cake break. Lots of people were involved. And I think that was the real winner, was to involve so many people, because then they all want to come and be part of it and see their child reading out and be part of things. So it came back to that. And then I chatted with Amy Robinson, who is... Sorry.
Karen.
So that's how it came to be involved. And I chatted with my friend Amy, who works at Kevin Mayhew, and she said, we really need to see about getting this published. So Kevin Mayhew jumped on board. We rewrote it a number of times. So we got the publisher involved, rewrote it a number of times, and we found that after we'd gone through it over and over again, we had something that we thought, this is ready for churches and other groups. They can do this same idea too. If you can put on a nativity play, for example, it's no more difficult than that. And many churches will do some sort of a nativity event at Christmas. So we thought this is a great idea to get the church wider community fired up about something which we know everybody wants to be better at, be more biblically literate and more inclusive as well.
So you mentioned in that description, you compiled different scripts, and you've got sort of different levels of reading ability for the scripts in the book. So is the book just a bunch of scripts? I mean, I'm asking you this because, I'd love for you to tell the listeners, I have actually got a copy of the book and I have looked in it. So I do know what's in it. But for the benefit of our listeners...
You know what's in it.
Yeah, for the benefit of our listeners, is it just a bunch of scripts? I mean, there are scripts in there, but, what else is in there? And also, the presentation of the event itself, is it just sitting there listening to a bunch of people reading these scripts, kind of like a sermon, or is there more to it?
Well, I mean, you'll know, Matt, because when you work with people, when you work with children, their attention span is only so long. It's never quite as long as you'd like it to be. Different denominations will have different length sermons, but obviously people cannot concentrate for a whole hour to people talking at them. That's not fair to do that to people. So it was really important to me to involve people in different creative ways, to have hands-on things, to have displays, to have things where people had prepared stuff in advance, brought them along with them, and then they were part of it too. So the scripts, they take up quite a big chunk of the book. And as I say, there's 2 of each script because there's an easy read and there's a more regular version. But there are so many other resources as well. I had lots of fun creating some maps with no words on them. They've got icons on the maps. I had fun working out how you could make a recipe for barley rolls, which takes my mother-in-law's bread recipe, and looking at the various different foods in the Bible. In fact, you can do a variation just telling the story of the Bible through food, which is another very interesting way to do it. And there's ways in the book about how you could do that. There are various challenges. There are ideas about how you could involve people you wouldn't normally involve. And there is a theme that runs through it, because as I was preparing it, I was reminded over and over again of the story of the feeding of the 5,000 and about that little one lad who brings his packed lunch. And almost comically, he is the one who says to Jesus, well, this is what I've got. Why don't you use this? And Jesus says, yes. We can do something with this. I can take your faithful, very small offering and I can multiply it. And we'd seen that in the event that we ran, the first event. And we thought, yes, if we bring our small offerings willingly, God does something marvelous with that. He will multiply it, and he will see all sorts of people being involved that wouldn't normally be, people getting fired up about getting more biblically literate, and, uniting the church in an interesting project that then, develops further going forward, because there's resources beyond that as well. So things you could do within Bible study groups, passages to explore, ways to pray, ways to look at the Bible and read the Bible. So there's a lot in there, and obviously it can be tailored to any particular group or church depending on the size and the issues that they have and the things that they want to do with that.
You've got a lot in the book as well about the planning stages, the before the event. So you've got lots of ideas of what you can do at the event and sort of scripts you can use at the event. But you do go into all sorts of things. I mean, even down to the handy, it's called How Do We Decide Who Does What? And there's like a table, and there's stars sort of saying how difficult this section is. So this is a really easy section, so you can find someone appropriate to take the lead on that. Or this is a more difficult section, and you sort of break it all down.
So I was saying the planning is really important, because prayer is really critical, and networking around the folk in church who don't always get involved in things, but perhaps they would like to, but only on a very small scale. And then that might encourage them in the future to do more things, and spreading the load between people who have those skills of being practical or being, people. And also knowing, there are people in your church who can probably pronounce Antiochus Epiphanes, and there are probably those who can't. And, so this takes the mental load off the people who are preparing, because that's the hard work, isn't it? It's like in the household, or it's like anywhere, doing all the thinking in advance. If someone else has already done that and they said, this is how you can best advertise, this is how you can best choose these people, these are the props you might want and where you might find them and what's in season and so on, it just takes the load off the people preparing it. And then they can opt in for those things which are necessary and helpful in their situation. It's interesting, because different church people have different skills, and some will be very good on promoting, and others will be good at involving people. But being very hands-on and practical, we've run this with different groups of people and found that some people did it outdoors, some people just used the easy scripts, some people preferred to involve people deliberately who wouldn't otherwise be involved with things, and that meant that we had to all listen very, very carefully because they couldn't read very easily. And it was very powerful, when you hear different people involved in things, it's quite humbling.
What I like about it is it's sort of it emphasizes the whole sort of body ministry idea where everybody starts to see that they have a role within the church where everyone can take part in a sense, rather than you just turn up and the person at the front does all the stuff and you sitting and watching. Yeah. Did I break up this thing?
Right. It is everybody involved. Yeah. It's not just one person talking at everybody else, and that's really important. That's how I felt it mattered.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love that aspect of it. So, how many volunteers? Now, see, this is the thing. Now I'm getting down to sort of the brass tacks of it, because, as a church leader myself, you think, oh yeah, great idea. Oh yeah, it's quite ambitious. Okay, fine. And then you go, right. How many volunteers will this take? How long will it take to plan? So what do you reckon? How many volunteers can you get away with? Because what if some churches have loads of volunteers, and some churches, there's only 2. And no one else does anything,
And the same 2 people do everything, yeah?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, this is actually a way to throw a grenade into that and say, no, it shouldn't be the same 2 people always doing everything. And you do need 2 people to begin with. You need a person who knows pretty much everybody or can easily learn about everybody and say, oh, that person would be really good as, a microphone ninja. There's that quiet teenage kid who doesn't want to be on stage much, but is really good at adjusting the height of the microphone when we got different people coming up, if you're doing a microphone. Or you might have somebody who's really good at baking. Oh, I'd love you to make a cake. So that person who involves lots of people. And then there's the other person, the sort of producer. So you've got director and producer. The producer's the much more practical person, and they make sure it's ready on the day and that there's not timelines through the fire exits and that sort of thing. And if you share that load between 2 key people, and then you delegate outwards from there, and you make sure you've communicated really well. I think communication is always important, isn't it, when you're doing any church event? Make sure you've contacted the people you need to. There's even a table, and there's so many tables in this book. The publishers were pulling their hair out. And there's so many tables, and one of them is, have you told readers this thing and that thing, and have you thanked them?
I was just going to ask, do you love Excel spreadsheets?
I didn't hear you, Matt, sorry.
Do you love Excel spreadsheets?
Do I love Excel spreadsheets? Oh, I'm just thinking. Do you know what? I like to do tables and Word, but I do love a good Excel spreadsheet, actually. I do. I'm not as good as my husband. He's a genius with Excel spreadsheets. There's formulas I didn't even know existed. It's shocking.
No, this is great. You've got a whole resource all sorted out there. But as you were saying a little bit earlier, I just want to dig a little bit more into that. It's not just the book, because you also then have access to a whole sort of website which has got all sorts of extra stuff. So you mentioned sort of the extra scripts for different readers on there. Do you have other goodies on there as well that aren't in the book, or is it just mostly the scripts?
So there's a bit more information. There's some more photos that are in colour, and there are downloads of some of the black and white images, such as the maps, that are in colour on the website, and some of the family trees. There's all sorts of things on there. So I would recommend having a look at it and seeing, how can we adapt these things. I've got this idea that eventually somebody should make an ancient Near East quilt, or like a banner in church of a map of the ancient Near East. That would be brilliant. You get all these lovely little banners in church, and every once in a while you get one, and you think, what's that doing there? A nice map on there. Anyway. That's my idea. And then you could use it, and you could lend it out to the other churches doing it, you see, because you can get groups together. If your church is quite small, or you've got a Christian union or something, you go, this is too small, we've not got 20 readers, we don't want to keep all reading. So you get together with another church, and you make it an evangelistic outreach. You say, come along and see how you could see the whole story of the Bible in under an hour, and have cake, and have olives or figs or whatever's in season, and barley rolls, and then go away with some challenges and say, well, maybe we should join the Alpha course and learn more about who God is off the back of this, you see. So there's all sorts of ways you could adapt this. You don't have to do it with just one small church. You could put it together in your village or town.
No, that's fantastic. Well, thank you, Lucy. We are going to be coming back really soon after this short break to chat a bit more with the awesome author, Lucy Marfleet. So do stay tuned.
If you enjoy listening to this podcast, you can help keep it on the web. All you've got to do is buy me a coffee. Head over to buymeacoffee.com/Matt McChlery to make a donation. There is a link in this episode's show notes. So go on, buy me a coffee today and help this podcast to keep supporting Christian books and authors.
Hello, welcome back to the Christian Book Blurb Show. You've been listening to all sorts of wonderful things in the break, I'm sure. But now I'm back speaking with the author Lucy Marfleet. Just before the break, we were chatting about her book, Telling the Big Story, the Bible in 60 Minutes. But this side of the break, Lucy, we like to get to know the author a little bit better. So let's start off with fun things. What do you like to do for fun? Do you have time for fun?
Oh, I'm in the sandwich generation. If I have fun, it's because I stole some time. I've got teenage children doing GCSEs and A-levels. I've got a dog who's getting elderly. Parents who are getting older. All the rest of it. So, yes. There's always things that I like to get distracted by. Any sort of word puzzle, reading. I do a lot of reading. Humorous sitcoms, really well written sitcoms. I love those. Things like Frasier. That sort of thing. Any sort of word game. It is a bit wordy, I'm afraid. I'm a bit of a geek.
Has Frasier continued? I heard, is it like on Amazon Prime or something? Is it,
it was on Paramount Plus.
Really?
I'm not advertising it. But they did another 2 seasons, set a couple of decades later. I have to say, the original Frasier is a classic. The new Frasier adds some things, but it's not quite as special.
Yeah. That's what I was getting to, really. Your opinions on the newer version. Okay, no, cool. So, do you have any particular thing you like to eat? Any sort of food that's a sort of top favorite?
I was thinking about this because I do love food, but I'm at that age now where food doesn't love me anymore. I used to keep growing taller and taller and taller. I'd say to people, "Oh, I'm 5'13." And see who would get the joke. I'm not actually. But I used to get taller, but these days I get wider, and it's not fair. Yeah. So I have to really watch my food and be a bit more disciplined. But I do love chocolate, so I've got a little chart of which days I can have pudding or chocolate. And I just appreciate it more now. It's rationed.
And what's your favourite kind of chocolate?
At the moment, it's Kit Kat, chunky. But I love that we're into cream egg season again. Oh, okay.
You're a cream egg.
Those first cream eggs, they're always a bit smaller, and they always taste wrong, but it's still a cream egg.
And are you with the Kit Kats and the cream eggs? There's obviously the original, but these days they're bringing out all sorts of weird and wonderful combinations, like Biscoff cream eggs and peanut butter Kit Kats and all that kind of thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's clear heresy, obviously. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. Well, each to their own. If you go for that sort of thing, that's up to you. I'm not going to stop you if you're buying something. It means there's more for me. The original.
One of our relatives who lives abroad found a website at Christmas time and sent the family like a sort of a box, a present, a gift box of chocolates. And the kids were amazed because they were like the original sizes. I don't know where they found them. Ooh. It's so hard to find chocolate bars that were that were the same size as they used to be, because
Mars bars, you get these double deckers. They were.
That's it. They were proper phones. Yeah. Just so small now. There's like these fun size, they call it. Fun size. I mean, not much fun. Anyway, never mind. I know.
If you call it bite size and you can't bite it, that's just wrong, isn't it? And also, I do suspect that we were smaller when these chocolate bars were bigger, so they probably felt even bigger when we were really young.
Maybe. But I was very impressed. I was very impressed with that. Anyway,
Oh, know about this.
so do you like going on holiday? And
Oh, I
if
love to
so,
travel.
where have you liked the best in your travels, or where would you like to
Oh
go
my
back
goodness.
to?
Well, I love to travel. I have a sister that lives in Canada, so I love to go to Canada and see her. She's in Vancouver, Sophie. She's wonderful. And I love to travel around Europe, actually. I'm trying to get to every country in Europe. That's one of my bucket
Ooh.
list items. Funny story, I had a bucket list and it had one item on it, and it was get a book published. And then I thought, oh, I've finished my bucket list. That's not supposed to happen. So I thought, I need to have something else on my bucket list now. So I thought, well, we've been to quite a few European countries, and I love Europe. And it's great if you can travel without flying, isn't it? So you can get to quite a lot of places without flying. So I'm trying to go to every country in Europe, and it's fascinating. It really is interesting going to different places and trying to learn a few words from the language. I love languages. So parts of Europe, and I have been to Israel years and years ago, and I thought that was fascinating. Yeah, I really did enjoy seeing a bit of that, and I'd love to go back.
One day when things are a little bit more settled, I guess.
I think it would be safer when it's a bit settled. Yeah.
Yeah. So in Europe, then, it sounds like you've visited quite a few. So it might be easy to ask, which countries have you not visited yet?
Places I still want to go to that I haven't been to yet. San Marino, apparently, is really lovely. I've not been to Norway. I don't know how I've not been to Norway yet. Okay. I really want to get there. I'm looking at my map over there. I've got a globe over there. I can't see it very well. I've not been to Greece, and I don't know how I've not been to Greece yet.
Wow, how have you managed that?
I know, and I studied New Testament Greek, and I want to go over there and read the menus with the Greek letters. Oh, look, that's a pi. That's a theta. Family can do that; they've done maths. But to actually read the menus. Oh, I know what this word is. I know it connects to an ancient word that I know. It's probably very different now. But no,
I was wondering similar things, and I was thinking, it might be interesting to go and visit. Well, you've been to Israel. I haven't been, so I was thinking, one doesn't have to go to Israel to still visit places that are mentioned in the Bible, and like Greece and Turkey and around there. They've got some interesting sites that in Acts and things, and it's like, maybe.
Yeah.
We already know you like your chocolate. About hot drinks. Do you like hot drinks, hot or cold?
I do. I have to have a cup of tea in the morning or I don't function. I have to have a cup of coffee or I don't function. I'm probably addicted. It's not very good, is it? If we had to go cold turkey on this and not have any coffee, I think we'd really feel it.
Yeah. No, that's good. So tea and coffee but not at the
Mostly
same time.
Tea, to be fair. And I'll tell you who's the best maker of tea is my husband. He makes a really good cup of tea. When he's working from home, it's the best because he makes good tea, good coffee.
Is there a specific way you like it made? Like milk first or 3 drops after you've turned left or,
This is where, because he's a scientist, he's an engineer, and I'm not, and he just does it properly. I daren't ask.
You don't know what he does.
I eyeball things. I go, I think that's about right. And normally it's not, apparently. So,
oh, wow. There you go.
But I'm getting more into fruit, actually, because I'm trying to be healthier. Right. And I've discovered, mango is the best fruit. Oh, where has mango been all my life? Especially if somebody else has already cut it up. I mean, that's, my goodness. Mango's brilliant.
I remember the first time my wife, I convinced her, you got to try a mango. And she was like, I've never tried it before. But she liked it, although she felt a bit, gypped by because the seed inside is so big. She was like, half the money's paid for this wretched seed in the middle. It's so massive. It's like, anyway, we still eat mango, so there you go.
Oh, but nobody in our family will eat banana. All of us don't like banana. When the children were little and we gave them mashed up banana, and we're like, just try it, even though we won't eat it, just try it. And they hated it. And we've got a dog, a lovely greyhound, Faye, and she doesn't like banana either. So she's part of the family, obviously.
Well, there you go. Slightly more serious question. What is the Holy Spirit doing in your life at the moment, or maybe has put something on your heart that you want to share with our listeners today?
That's a lovely question. I was giving this some thought, and I'm glad you sent me the question early, because if you'd thrown that at me suddenly, I might have panicked. But I thought, actually, it's lovely when you start thinking about a relationship with God, because it's the best relationship you have in your life. Even your birth family goes back, and your relationship with God probably even further back than that, really, because he created us, formed us when we were in the womb. And there was several layers of this, if you'll indulge me. So there's the heartbeat of God, which is that pulse of God reminding us frequently that he loves us. And if we have our finger on the pulse, we hear that heartbeat of God frequently. And sometimes we really need to hear it. And other times it's just lovely to hear and be reminded. But just to be constantly on the pulse. And to change the analogy slightly, that's a bit like the bass line. And so there's other parts of the music. And I think God loves music. I'm sure of it. And the next layer up would be the daily new mercies, like in Lamentations, the idea of there is new mercies every day. There's a lovely sunrise somewhere, and even if you didn't see it, it was still there. And even if we don't see those mercies that God has for us that day, they were still there. It might have been a beautiful colour or a beautiful conversation or something that happened that really lifted us, and we didn't even notice it, but it was still there. And God's love is just so constant. And the constancy is the thing that I think is what God's working on me at the moment, this overarching, almost like a meta-narrative, like in the book that we were talking about, that there are themes in our lives that take a long time to work on. There's slow growing fruit. And because I've been a Christian quite a few years now, I've seen these slow but quite serious changes in my life. The levels of anxiety changing, the levels of patience growing, the levels of anger and frustration diminishing over time, that trend. And I've seen it in other Christians as well, that it takes decades, but it happens. And I see that this is like a musical symphony, where there's the heartbeat, the bass line, there's this treble line of this new every morning, these mercies that you notice whether whether they're happening, whether you notice them or not. But there's also these big themes which don't resolve quickly. And there could be several of them going on, because there's so much that God has to work on in my life. I don't know about you, but there's so many areas where I think, I'm still a work in progress on that thing. And I have, it teaches me to be gracious with others, because they're all works in progress too. We're unfinished, and God is doing things. So the Holy Spirit, what has the Holy Spirit been putting on my heart? Essentially, that God has this consistency, this faithfulness that I aspire to, and I haven't got there yet, but I can see him changing me gradually, and the more I get changed, the more I want it, and the more I want to verbalize that to others, so that others get excited about that too.
That's great. Thanks, Lucy. Coming back to your book, Telling the Big Story, the Bible in 60 Minutes, where can we buy it from? Where can we find it? And also, are you on social media, and can people find you there and all that kind of stuff? Websites and all that?
Yeah. Well, it's published by Kevin Mayhew, and they do sell it through their website. I've got copies too, and I sell it through my website, lucymarfleet.com. At a slightly better price, and with the option of buying a tote bag that matches it and everything. So there's other various deals that I have. So I would say go to my website if you get the chance, and you'll see all the extra resources there as well, and photos and things. So lucymarfleet.com. And I do have a presence on social media. I go as my writing name, my maiden name actually, Lucy Marfleet, for Facebook and other places. And I recommend finding me through that. It's a funny story, actually, because when we got married some time back now, I said to my husband, look, I've got this bucket list, my one item on my bucket list. I want to publish a book, but my husband's surname is Robinson. I said, if I go as Robinson, that will be a very common name. It'll be very hard to find, in the mix. If I keep my maiden name, Marfleet, that's much more Googleable, isn't it? It's one of these names that people go, oh, Marfleet, that's unusual, and they find you quickly. See? So Robinson is a perfect name for hiding, when I want to sort of get camouflaged. And then Marfleet, my maiden name, which I write under, I use that for my website, lucymarfleet.com, which used to be a blog back in the day. And it's the way people know me from years and years ago. So it's my writer identity. And in terms of, do I post things online? Well, I do, but I don't blog at the moment, because I'm working on writing, and I want to put my writing energy into that. And so it's I've got some various different things. I think there's Instagram and Facebook and so on.
That's great. And you just said something intriguing, which made me go, sit up and go, oh, she's writing something. What are you writing? What are you working on? Can
Matt,
you give us
I don't know how much I can tell you. I'm writing several things, actually. I'm writing several things, and I was Do you know, it's great living near Cambridge, because I had to do a research event recently. I went to King's College Chapel, direct research connected with something that I'm writing at the moment. And I'm doing a couple of things that are spinning off this book that I think are going to be very interesting for some of the same people that have bought the book or who were thinking about buying the book, which will take them deeper into these ideas or do different things at different times of the year. But I'm also doing some fun things, because I want more people to get excited about some of the silliness and the fun in the Bible. And I've got some ideas up my sleeve. So, watch this space. Keep coming back to lucymarfleet.com and you'll see some interesting books coming along in the next year or two.
Oh, very intriguing. Very good. So, yes, do keep in touch with Lucy on her website. That just brings me to say thank you, Lucy. Thank you for joining us here. It's been a joy to have you on the show. And also thank you to you for listening to this episode of the Christian Book Blurb. Don't forget, it comes out on the 1st and the 15th of every month. So I'll be back really soon, where I'll be chatting with another fabulous Christian author all about their books, their life, and their faith. So subscribe, follow along, and I'll see you really soon. Thanks. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to Christian Book Blurb with your host, Matt McChlery. Do give it a like, give it a share, and let your friends know all about it. We do hope to see you again soon on another Christian Book Blurb.